And so at some point, were you making enough money on music that you decided that you didn't need to work there anymore?
Well, I worked there from 1977 till almost 1990. We got signed to Warner Brothers in 1990. And I was only working sort of part-time even by then. But it was never about the money. I think it was little by little. I had sort of used up all my vacation time, and they were saying, like, Wayne, you're gone more than you're here. So at some point, But I believe for a little while I was a true asset to this one that used to be on 30th and Classen. And there'd be people that would come in there. I didn't, when I think about how long the Flaming Lips have been around now, it's going to be 28 years here pretty soon.
Wow.
That's a long time. But I worked at this Long John Silver's long enough to have seen couples come in that I could see were on their first date. What a great first date. We're at Long John Silver's. It seemed great at the time. But there was a couple of people I remembered seeing them on their first date, and then seeing them feel like, oh, now they're a couple, and now they have.
This ought to be a song. It sounds like a ballad.
I know. And they would have a couple of kids, and I saw this kind of happen,
Yeah.
and I became kind of a fixture in knowing. I'd see there was a couple of people, and I think about it now. They're slightly sad in a way that they would be in there. Religiously in a sense, every Wednesday or Thursday night at the exact same time, reading the paper and eating this horribly greasy stuff. I don't know what their health is like now, but at the time, I really felt like I was part of it. I never felt ashamed of it, and I never felt like it was beneath me. And some of the people that I knew there and experiences I had there, I think it did shape me. I worked with my dad and my older brothers and all that stuff around Oklahoma City all the time, but nothing it's not the same as working with your family. It is sort of being, you're your own person in your own atmosphere there. So yeah, I still say I really enjoyed it. I'm glad I don't have to do it now.
Right.
But I would go back if I had to.
But you never thought, I'm going to throw off this apron, or I'm going to make it in music, and I'm leaving Oklahoma City, and I'm never looking back. Leaving Oklahoma City doesn't ever seem to be part of the plan.
Well, by time I could have thought of it. We'd already been celebrated as a group of weirdos that came from Oklahoma City. A lot of the bands that were coming through Oklahoma City, even back then in the late 70s, early 80s, it didn't matter to me where they came from. If I liked their music, it didn't matter where they came from. And if I didn't like their music, it didn't matter where they came from. I never thought about, well, if they come from this place, they must be cool. But immediately when we formed the Flaming Lips, it's funny that a lot of places around Oklahoma City wouldn't even let us play. But luckily we could go to like the weirdo capitals of America, where you're San Francisco, even Austin, Texas, Minneapolis, even Athens, Georgia. And we would go there and people would be like, what's it like to be in Oklahoma? That must be bizarre. And you guys make this music coming from Oklahoma. So it never felt as though, being from Oklahoma, to us anyway, was a bad thing. We were always associated with these outsiders who were doing things their own way. And I think eventually, me being from Oklahoma, and I've said it before, it's kind of like Santa Claus being from the North Pole. It's kind of just so bizarre. Because when I travel the world, people still have this slightly true but slightly cliched version of what it must be like to be in Oklahoma, where there's cowboys and Indians and country music and the Bible and football, and oh my God, why would you even live there if you want to make music? And I try to remind them, it's like, well, we do have electricity and radios and TVs, and MTV started in 1980, I believe, and Oklahoma City was one of the test markets for MTV of all the country. It was in the middle of America where they were test marketing it. So I try to remind them that, if you're curious about the world at all, it's easy to find music from all over the place.
Well, and the city's grown, and the arts that are available today is so much larger than that era.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And as you're traveling and people find out is there any different sort of perception today? Has the city's perception changed?
When we go to, these cities that you'd compare to Oklahoma City, before this restoration, before this idea, I'm trying to remember what, Broadway, Robinson Street looked like, and even like 10 years ago. It's hard to even imagine now, because you drive down it and You know, I mean, even the Halloween parade route and the way it looks around Christmas time and Bricktown and all that. Some of these cities that we'll go into, you know, look at Oklahoma City as a little bit of an example of like, well, you guys did it there, as if I had a lot to do with it. And I take credit
Well, sure you should.
for it, sure, you know. But, and I don't know, you know, some of these cities, you know, you see how it's like, I'm not sure if they're ever going to rebound. I mean, Oklahoma City is so big. I sometimes get the feeling if we retract in a little bit, we would all get to know each other and realize how many people live here, and you know that we could all deal with a little less space. But yeah, I mean, I don't claim to have any take any responsibility for the good things that have happened in Oklahoma City. I get, you know, people associate the Flaming Lips with this other way of thinking that Oklahoma City could be, but that's mostly you guys. You guys are doing it. I'm just making music and doing what I like, and I've been given the freedom and the encouragement really all along. You know, I mean, the things that we were doing in the '80s and all that has nothing to do with the way you are now. And so for me, I would say, you know, I think having the alley and having the state song and all these things, I mean, they're a bonus. They're a bonus to something that was already great, that I was always encouraged to do my own thing.
We're out of time, and you know, I ought to just
those people can wait. Me and you. Let's talk about you now. Well, it's wonderful seeing you again.
Thank you, Wayne, for coming on
the
show.
Yes, and we'll have another 11 minutes later on, and we'll talk about how great Oklahoma City is again.
Wayne Coyne, lead singer of the Flaming Lips and a resident of Oklahoma City. We'll be back with more of the Mayor's Magazine after this.